and welcome to a preview of the World Match Play Championships, which are due to take place in Blackpool, the Winter Garden Blackpools, at the end of next month. Joined here with me by Keith Deller, the former world champion and of course manager now of Adrian Lewis. Before we get on to jackpot though, Keith, 11 times champion at the Winter Gardens, Phil Taylor. There is only one person to start with. Remember, Keith, this is the only major championship that Phil Taylor, the great Phil Taylor has. He's now 7-4 to win his 12th. This time last year, 7-4 odds against for Taylor. Absolutely, people would be banging down the doors of the bookmakers. They aren't now.
Well, I think this is the first time maybe that Phil's gone into the World Match Play with not too much confidence, really. They always say winning breeds confidence, and it's true. And as you say, Charlie, this is the only tournament now that actually Phil is holding one of the major trophies. And I think he's going into it as maybe not the favourite.
That's interesting. So if Phil wouldn't be the favourite, 7-4 with ourselves at victorchandler.com, who would you say should be the favourite?
I think you've got to go with Gary Anderson at the moment. I think Gary's just won 2 Players' Championships back to back. And okay, Phil wasn't there, Adrian wasn't there, but to win them, they're very tough to win. He's picked up the Premier League, beating Adrian in the final, so he's going into the match play in great form. But at the end of the day, I think there's 2 or 3 players who could do well. Obviously, Adrian's one of them, and you've got the likes of Nicholson. He's playing well. He's going to be confident, and when you beat Phil Taylor, it gives you so much confidence.
It's interesting, you see, because I've been in the World Championship, in the World Match Play in Blackpool for the last number of years, and you backstage you can see that the players, if not in fear of Taylor, but you think that fear is absolutely gone now. Taylor, this aura about him, that's gone.
I think the fear is possibly with Adrian and maybe Gary. I think James Wade has still got to prove that he can beat Phil on TV. I mean, James has won 6 majors. Fair play, that's fantastic.
But he's never beaten Taylor as part of those 6 majors. Interesting fact.
That's correct. He's going to beat Phil, and you feel that if that was to be the final, hopefully it won't be, hopefully Adrian's in the final, but you'd have to say that Phil will be more confident playing James than he would be Adrian.
Interesting then that for Keith, it is Gary Anderson, 6-1 with ourselves at victorchandler.com. It's 9-1 then for jackpot for the world champion Adrian Lewis, 9-1 also for James Wade, and 14-1 for Raymond van Barneveld. Barney, would it be fair to say, if we're saying that maybe Taylor's powers are slightly on the wane, Barney's gone off the radar?
I think Raymond lost a lot of confidence. He's not been winning tournaments. As I say, Charlie, you have to be winning tournaments to keep the confidence going. And as you say, if you look at Gary Anderson, he's winning tournaments away from the TV. He's won the Premier League. Adrian lost in the final of the Premier League, won the world title, lost in the final of the Grand Prix. You have to look to form in the majors, because no disrespect, if you look at other players, I don't think they still think they can beat Phil Taylor. I think you are talking about maybe 2 or 3 players who really do believe they can beat Phil at the moment. And that could be the worst thing to say, because we all know that, to me, he is still the best player in the world.
If I could just look at some of the first round ties and get Keith's thoughts. Terry Jenkins 2-1 on versus Steve Beaton at 6-4. How do you think that one will go?
Very tricky game for Terry. I think he's very patchy at the moment. He played very well again in the UK Open, sadly, against Adrian, with unbelievable darts. In the first, 8 legs, he was averaging 115, 120. It's tremendous, but then he does have some bad games. With Steve, he doesn't tend to worry about opponents. He'll just get up there and play his game. If his finishing's going in well, Steve, he's a very good scorer. He's very consistent. Me, it's all down to finishing with Steve.
Finishing with Steve. 4-1 on Adrian Lewis. We're 7-2 on this morning. We cut him again. Adrian Lewis 4-1 on jackpot against Kevin Painter. Again, Kevin Painter. This time last year, people didn't really want to play Painter in the first round. He's got a gritty battler, but surely again, Kevin hasn't been a threat, shall we say, on the world stage for some time now.
I think with Kevin is that he'll look at this game, well, I'm playing one of the favourites, so the pressure's really on Adrian, the number 2 seed. Kevin knows that he's been there a long time now, and he'll look forward to the game. I don't think he'll be thinking, oh my God, I've got Adrian. He'll just go up there and go to beat Adrian. But I just feel that what I've seen of Kevin lately, its finishing's not good enough. and I think Adrian's scoring power will be too strong for him.
So a jackpot for that. If there is a upset, and there will be, of course, in the first round, there always is. Webster 4-7 versus John Part. Renaissance in recent weeks. John Part 11-8. That's one that took my eye, Keith.
Yes, I think that could easily be, I don't know, 5-6 each. I don't think really that Mark Webster, he's come back to a little bit of form in the UK Open, but he really did get taken apart in the Premier League. And John Part, 3 times world champion. John is now starting to play really well. He's won one of the Players' Championships. And John will think that, okay, I'm not playing one of the top 4 players in the world. He's really going to say to himself, right, I've got a chance here. And I think John may take that.
Another one that I thought was a potential shock, and Keith agrees with me, the possibility John Part 11-8 with ourselves, Victor Chandler over Mark Webster. The other one I thought, Barney 5-2 on versus Steve Brown 2-1. How do you think that will go?
My only worry with Steve Brown is he played him in the UK Opens. I think he's played him on TV before that as well, and hasn't played very well against Raymond. I think that Steve's at the stage where he's a very good dart player, he's very solid. Can he beat the big boys on TV? That's my only doubt. And I'm still going to say that Raymond's experience will come through.
Ronnie Baxter at 8-11 versus Dennis Ovens 21-20. That was, again, a match I thought was almost a toss-up. Any thoughts on that?
Dennis Ovens again, playing well. Lost in the semis of the UK Open. I think in the quarterfinals he played absolutely fantastic. 107 average. I mean, he was 3/4 through his match. With Dennis, I mean, I've known Dennis a long, long time, and he would never change. You wouldn't want to get stuck in the lift with him, I don't think. But he's just a steady player. And Dennis's problem was he couldn't play on TV. Brilliant on the floor. Now the UK Open, he feels now that he can play on TV. There could be an upset there.
Interesting as well. Just a few specials we got around jackpots at Adrian Lewis, the world title, world champion at the moment. When will Adrian Lewis be defeated? In round 1, 11-4. Keith, second round 3-1. Quarters 4-1, semi-final 5-1, beaten final 6s, winner 9-1. If you had a tenner now, who would you put on? How far will Adrian go?
He's good enough to win it, there's no doubt about it, because I don't think he'd done anything wrong in the UK Open. As I said, after 5 legs he was averaging 115. Now I work for Sky and I saw so many games, he would have been 5-0 up, cruising. And at the end of the day, he just got the wrong player at the wrong time. So he's not lost no confidence at all. He believes that he's reaching the major finals now, and he's reached 3 on Sky now, on a trot really. So, apart from the UK Open, Adrian's confident, and I feel that the first game will be edgy, but I don't think he'll lose. I think the second game will suit the players in Vanderbilt, quick thrower, if it is that Vanderbilt. The quarter-final could be a tough one with obviously the likes of John Part, who could possibly Dave Chisnell, but I feel as Adrian, he feels so much comfortable when he gets into the longer games, and I think if he gets to the quarters, he will be strongly to get to the final.
It's interesting then that, to sort of sum up almost, we both want jackpot to win, we both want Adrian Lewis, but Keith is going for Gary Anderson. Gary Anderson, of course, in sublime form recently, but 11 times the champion of Blackpool. That's his home, Phil Taylor. We talk about the World Championships, this is his home. The spiritual home of Taylor is at the Winter Garden, Blackpool. I think 7-4 for Phil Taylor is like finding money in the street. Taylor, Anderson, yeah, we both want jackpot.
Or Lewis.
Be lucky.
Or Lewis.
Bet now at victorchandler.com.